Yo guys, what is going on? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to things Germans do that just make more sense. There's a lot of things we do in the United States that just don't make sense. So let's see some of these right here. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit subscribe, and let's get right into this.
Hi everyone, what is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey you guys, what's up? So in today's video, y'all, I'm going to be talking about, I guess, German things or things that Germany or Germans do that make more sense. And I should preface this or put in parentheses for an American, because this could be normal in Europe, let's say, or even in other parts of the world. And for me as an American, it's not. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking about these things. So yeah, I'm going to keep this intro relatively short, simple, and sweet. And don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. The first point is going to be the triangle, and me trying to make a triangle with my hands is not really working out, you guys. And the vest that Germans carry in their car. This is not required in the United States, and I always wonder why. And so basically you have this little triangle that has reflecting lights or strips on it, and it's for when you get into an accident. I think you go like 200 steps down the road, you put the little triangle down so people are aware that there's an accident ahead, that there might be people walking around, that there might be debris somewhere, there might be oil spilt somewhere, so people just have a warning of, hey, be alert and be aware. And this also goes for the vests that you keep in your car as well. They're usually these orange or yellow vests that you wear in case of an accident. I believe they have reflecting stripes on them as well. And when you're looking at how accidents are handled and how road safety is handled, it's taken like up a notch. I feel like because of the unbegrenzt, you have no speed limit on the Autobahn in some instances, and so you have to be cautious, you have to be careful, because accidents can happen. And just on roadways in general, regardless of what speed limit you are driving, accidents happen. And so they're trying their best in Germany to prevent other injuries, other accidents, other things that could be associated with, I have no idea, someone being stuck on the side of the road. So the next one, you guys, is going to be something that I found to be extremely fun.
In the U.S., it's a free-for-all. The side of the road, there could be someone sleeping on the shoulder. We have trucks, large tractor trailers, semi-trucks, I don't know what they're called in Germany, that literally will just park on the side of the road and sleep. It's illegal, but it's because the truck stops are all filled up. That's one example. Another, people will stop on the shoulder, break down, whatever. They don't even put their hazards on, much less have a vest or a triangle. So safety is not key here. No one cares about safety. The roadways are just a free-for-all, basically. That's what anyone will say in the United States. No matter what state or city they're from, they'll complain about the drivers.
Funny, when I first got to Germany, I mean, now it's pretty normal, but when I first got here and I was driving on the Autobahn, I remember like a Volkswagen Passat or a Skoda Octavia, I think they're called, coming up behind me, and there was a hitch, and on that hitch, they were towing a little camper, a little sleeper, and I was just like, what in the world? And they were Richtung Gardasee, wahrscheinlich für der Familienurlaub. And I was like, what the heck is this? A car, a multifunctional family automobile is pulling a camper behind them? In the United States, we do not do this. Like, the association of towing does not relate to family vehicles or sedans or four-door compact hatchback station wagon vehicles. It just does not happen. No. You usually have a truck, a big old working van, or an SUV, because you need the Super Duty King Ranch limited edition 4x4 lifted 2730 Rams with blah, blah, blah. You need all of this.
Bro, that was accurate too, though. I think I know exactly what truck she was talking about.
You need all of these things to be able to tow, and it's just not even in the back of Americans' minds, or even at the front of Americans' minds, to tow something with their tiny Toyota Corolla. But I think this makes sense because it allows you to do a lot more with your vehicle. The practicality of your vehicle in Germany, I feel like you get a lot more use out of your vehicle than you do in the United States. So the next point, you guys, is going to be hard for me to explain it to you guys, but I hope you understand.
That was a fact. I agree with everything. This is what happens when I watch Haley's videos. I just agree with everything. We're just on the same page. That's what I'm saying.
Of your vehicle than you do in the United States. So the next point, you guys, is going to be hard for me to explain it to you guys, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from, and it's going to be the general speed limits in specific areas here. I find this to be a really cool concept. I feel like it makes sense. At first, I really thought it was very confusing. I still find it to be very confusing because I don't drive that often, but I feel like if I did, it would be a lot easier than in the United States. In Germany, I feel like you drive based on general signs and a general base understanding of like these are the rules and this is what happens. And these rules are usually on signs that have specific symbols, numbers, or pictures on them. And so for general speed limits, I think when you're driving into a yellow sign that has a city or a district name on it, I think you have to either go 50 or 30. I don't know which one it is, you guys. I know that it's slower though. And then once you drive out of that city or district, there'll be another little sign with a line through it, which means you are leaving now, and then you can speed up, usually to around 100 kilometers per hour. I could be wrong, like I said, and I might correct myself if I am wrong. And if you drive into a city, like a main city, I think it's either 30 or 50 as well. And then when you get into the Autobahn, they have signs that have, you know, lines through them. That means you can go as fast as you want. But generally speaking, you drive like 100 or 120, and then if there's a sign that says 80, you slow down. But it's like you just know these things. You don't really need the signs. Like some signs advise you what to do, but it's not based, like, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Like I feel like Germans know what I'm talking about, but Americans won't know, because when you're in the United States, it's like 45 here, 35 here, 50 here, 65 there, 70 there, and it's constantly changing, and you don't know. You have no clear understanding of how fast do I drive here? Or how fast am I allowed to drive here? It's ever changing. And in Germany, that's not the case. And Mike, he was a little confused when he first came to the United States and was driving, because he was like, well, how fast do I go here? And I'm like, oh, it's 45. And he's like, but how do you know that? I said, oh, there's a sign that says 45, and until you see the next sign, that's how it works. And he's like, but what happens if like you drive into a city and you don't change? And I'm like, no, you just drive whatever this little sign is. And he's like, but they're not all consistent. And I'm like, no, every place is different. So the next point is going to be,
okay, I see what she's saying, but I don't fully agree with that one there, because yes, there is some consistency. Like if you're going through a residential neighborhood, naturally you're going to slow down. You're going to be going 15, 20 miles per hour. If you're going through a city, agreed, it can be a bit different, but depending on the type of road, if you're on like a road with 4 lanes, and you can also infer based on how fast other people are moving. But I completely agree. And we also have times where cops in smaller towns will try and get revenue for their towns by pulling you over and giving you speeding tickets, by staying in very strategic areas with their radar guns. For example, staying at an area where the speed had just switched from, you know, whatever X number down to X number. And I'm definitely not speaking from personal experience, and my insurance rates definitely aren't through the roof now, and I definitely didn't lose over $1,000 because I got pulled over by one of those small town cops.
fund, you guys. And this is something that I've talked about all the time on my channel, but I feel like in 2022 they implemented a new rule slash law slash legislation regulation, and it is that I think every plastic container up to 3 liters has to have fund on it. Or it might be every container, but I'm pretty sure it's every plastic container. When you buy something, you pay a deposit on it, and you get that deposit back when you return the bottle. And the reason I think this is such a good idea is because I think maybe it would help people in the United States take a second look at how much they are consuming, and it would actually make the plastic end up in the right spot. I feel like littering is a big thing everywhere in the world. I've seen it happen in Germany, I've seen it happen in the United States, but I do feel like in the United States we are so, how do you say, like, so removed from how much we consume because it's just so normalized, and we have no real consequences for what we do. In Germany, it's like, I have to pay, or I pay 25 cents, and you may be thinking, oh, it's only 25 cents, but that 25 cents adds up. If you were to take all of the fund that I have collected since living in Germany, we would probably have like hundreds or thousands of euros that I have spent and like recollected for my plastic bottles, and that is a lot of money. And this is why I think it's a very good idea, because it makes people reevaluate how much they consume. The next point is going to be a little bit controversial, and
But guys, What? Why would you want that in the United States, though? You don't want people to reevaluate or think about what they're consuming. You want them to consume more. So why would we ever adopt some type of system like Germany has? What? Making people recycle? No, 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 no. No, we want to spend more money on things and get money for these corporations, guys. That's what the U.S. is built on. I'm actually really excited though to try out that system in Germany. I honestly don't plan on returning any of mine. I plan on leaving them next to the trash can and giving the money to someone else who needs it more. That's what I'm going to plan on doing. Also because I can be lazy sometimes, but that's the real reason. Maybe I'll return one just to see what the process is like, but then from then on, I'm going to leave it out for someone else.
The next point is going to be a little bit controversial, and there are some con aspects that I might make a video tailored to regarding this in the future, but I want to talk about the positive aspects of this point, and it is splitting kids up to go to different types of schools. Now, like I said, this is not a perfect system. It has its flaws. There have been studies about this. People have made videos about this, talking about the flaws of this system. But I do like the general idea that children can go to different levels of school or different pathways for education in Germany. There are 3 different options, I believe, that German children can take, and they're split up at an early age. They get pushed into those schools. Now, I will talk a little bit about the flaws, you guys, because I just can't not talk about this point. I do feel like it happens maybe too young, and sometimes kids are pushed to do stuff based on their economic or social standing, and maybe not based on their merit or their grades or their success level. But I do think if this was maybe worked on a little bit, and maybe a little bit more time and effort and resources were put into this system and making it, just a more functional system, then I would say it is a perfect system, because I've said this many times before, not everyone is made for the traditional school route. Not everyone is made to go to high school, to go to college, to go to university, to get their master's and work as a CEO at this company, or work as a marketing manager, or doing all these things. Some people like construction. Some people like working on cars. Some people like working as teachers. Some people like working as models. Some people like working as photographers. And so I do think that this could be a very encompassing school system, but it just needs to work out its tweaks. So the next point.
I agree. There's going to be pros and cons with any system, but specifically comparing that to the United States, where everyone is kind of forced down the education rabbit hole, and if you don't go to college, well, what else are you going to do? And you're kind of seen as an outcast in specific groups in society. And that's can be a really bad thing for a lot of kids, because they get pressured into going to college, end up wasting thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to end up with not even getting the degree, maybe dropping out, or getting the degree and not wanting to use it, wanting to do some type of other job that wouldn't have even required a degree in the first place. So it definitely opens up those doors. But again, like Haley was saying, the real question is, does it open those doors too early? And are there a lot of other pressures that maybe will force a kid to go down one way, and then when they're grown up a bit, they're like, well, this isn't even what I want to do, and I came all this way going down this specific path. What is it like to backtrack? That's what I would really want to look into, specifically in that system. If you go down it a certain route, maybe 4 years into an apprenticeship, what if you want to go into higher education? Do you have to go back and how do you reintegrate someone that's older than people who would currently be pursuing that? What is that like? I would probably be pretty good in Germany. It seems like there isn't that much of a stigma around older people getting an education, especially because education's free. So I remember an older video we reacted to was about how people will go to college even if they have no intentions of using the degree whatsoever. They just go because it's free and you get all those resources and you get to party. I wonder what German college parties are like. Whew. Gonna find out what the other ones are like, that's for sure. Here we go.
You guys are going to be something that I already talked about, and I think it's pretty funny, and I think it's an interesting point because so many people were confused about it when I talked about it in my previous video, and it is that you can pay for your gas after you pump
That's
I'm trying to
crazy.
think if that's the right way to word it.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the United States, you usually pay beforehand, meaning you put your credit card, debit card in the little machine at the gas station, and then you just pump your tank full, or you put however much money you want to put in there. Or you have the option of going in and telling the cashier that you want to put 20 on pump one. And a lot of people were like, but how do you know when you do that how much you pay or how much gas you need? And I was like, you don't, you just guess. And
Yeah.
I think that the German method makes more sense because it's true, you do guess in the United States. And this has happened to me like from both ends of the spectrum, where you say, okay, I want to put 20 on pump one, and then your car needs like $23. And it's like, it's not full. Like, it bothers me when I put so much money in the like tank and then it's only like this small from being full. I don't know if I have an issue with this, but it really like irks me. Or you have the other end of the spectrum where you put 20 bucks in and your car only needed $18.15. Then you gotta go into the gas station and get your $1.85 change back. And it varies from gas station to gas station. It's not like one umbrella rule that it's like, oh, you go into this gas station and get your change back. No, every gas station is different. I went into a gas station in the United States when I was visiting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask you, do I need to get my change after, or does it automatically go back on my card? And he's like, you just come back in and I give you the change cash even though you paid with a card. He said, but the gas station down the street, they don't do that. You just drive off and you get your change credited back to your card. And I was like, what? How? I understand why they don't do it in the United States, you guys, and it's because so many people would steal gas, so many people would drive away. There aren't enough honest people in the United States to make this happen. Too many bad actors.
Yeah, we already have, the card, People will put like readers on top of things, like external readers, and it reads your credit card info. It's not the actual reader that came with the gas station. The problem that she's talking about, though, is very specific. That's someone who wants to pay with cash. If you pay with a card, then it's not really a problem. But I guess not everyone has credit or debit cards, which is pretty shocking in today's world. Or they just need to go in so they can purchase other things that are behind the counter.
Apples ruin the bunch. So the last and final point, you guys, I feel like is going to have the biggest impact on the United States, or would have the biggest impact on the United States, and it is plastic bags not being allowed in a lot of retail stores in Germany. This is something that is quite interesting to me, and an observation that I've made over the years living here is that when a new law, regulation, or rule is implemented in Germany, as long as it's not too burdensome, if it helps a general population and it's not too hard to implement in your daily life, people are pretty chill when it comes to just rolling with the punches and going with the flow. And this is for every aspect of life. And so plastic bags were banned and there was no uproar here. People weren't in the streets, protesting about the plastic bags or going crazy on social media about plastic bags. But I remember at certain McDonald's in the United States, they started charging 25 cents for extra sauces. Now it was because a lot of franchises, they had to A, pay for them themselves, and B, they were just trying to cut back on how much plastic they gave. And so you would buy 10 chicken nuggets, you'd probably get 2 to 3 sauces, and there would be people who'd be like, I need 10 sweet and sour sauces for my chicken nuggets. And then they're like, okay, that'd be 25 cents each. And people were in an uproar. I need my sweet and sour sauce, and if I can't get 10 plastic things of it, then it's communism. And I'm just like, what is
that honestly is that is something you will hear from an American. And we still have the single-use plastic bags in grocery stores. It's so bad. We did have a thing in my state where they were charging, I think, like 5 cents a plastic bag. I'm not sure if that's a nationwide thing. See, that's the thing. You only know what's going on in your community in this country, because what's going on in the state over could be completely different. And it is completely different, which is good and bad. But it is true. The reaction to certain things and the entitlement that comes from Americans is ridiculous. It's going to be nice to take a break from that. I can't wait to get out of here for few weeks.
Going on? This can't be real life. And I always find it to be very interesting how societies react to these things. Germans are, it's whatever, no big deal, doesn't really bother me that much, and what's 25 cents? In the United States, oh my gosh, it's such an inconvenience, my life is ruined, and I'm suffering. And that is the same with plastic bags in the United States. I know that some states, maybe not states, maybe certain cities, districts, counties have banned plastic bags, but they are still very prevalent in the United States. For the United States to completely ban, let's say, plastic bags at grocery stores, I feel like would cause an uproar. I honestly feel like people would protest in the streets because of this. And it's so crazy to me because there are so many places in the world where people don't use plastic bags and they're perfectly fine. They're not dying on the side of the street. They're not having to, I mean, maybe they have to carry a few extra bags with their groceries, but it's just like, I think it would be such a positive impact. It would get rid of so many plastic bags that people use on a daily basis that they have no Überblick. They have no understanding of how much plastic they consume when it comes to grocery shopping and using these single-use plastic bags and maybe using 5 to cover their milk or wrap their eggs in a bunch of plastic bags. People just, they've lost all control of how much they're consuming. And so I think the best way, you know, this is maybe the same, and this is why they did it in Germany as well. The best way to stop consumption of these things, because you don't necessarily need them, is to just ban them outright. Now, I do think there are certain instances where people will argue with me and say, oh, well, you need plastic bags for this or you need plastic bags for that. And that is very true. There are some instances where maybe you do need a plastic bag or like a plastic straw or a plastic cup. There are some instances where maybe you do need this, but for the majority of the time, you probably don't, and you'll be fine without it. But yeah, those were all the points, you guys, and these were all of the things that I feel.
It's just a little bit extra effort. That's what it is, because you have to go out and buy a reusable bag, and then you have to keep it in your car, and then you have to walk all the way around your car and grab it before you go in shopping. Oh my God, that's so much work, guys. Why would we ever do that? That's crazy. So, things Germans do that just makes more sense. If anything, this video just made me frustrated with how we do some things in the United States. Again, sometimes it may sound like I'm always hating on the United States, or I hate living here, or I want to move. There's a lot of things that are really good about living in this country, but there's some things that it's just like, how can we be so advanced in certain fields and so far into certain things, and yet we're so backwards in that. And I don't know. So, and it's also frustrating to, whenever I interact with anyone from Europe, really, to have to preface anything I say, just an introduction of myself with, oh yeah, I'm from the United States. I don't really like guns, and yeah, our healthcare system is crap. I shouldn't have to say that every time, bro. Like, it's actually frustrating. So I'm mentally preparing myself, because I'm going to be saying that a lot more. Because when you meet someone, that's the first thing that's always going to be, from my experience, when I'm meeting a European, the first thing that's on their mind is, what type of American is this guy? Anyways, thank you all so much for watching that. That was really good. Again, make sure you sub to Haley Alexis, amazing YouTuber, and I mostly agree with all of her insights on the United States, and she's actually lived in Germany, so I'm learning a lot about Germany through her own experiences, which will soon are going to be my experiences. So I'm really excited about that, guys. Hopefully you are too. I think this might be one of the last reaction videos you guys get before the trip, and I will be revealing my itinerary in the next video I post, most likely. So stay tuned for that. I know I've been hyping this trip up for a while, but it's going to be worth the hype, believe me. And I hope you guys are excited as I am. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to catch you all in the next video. Peace.